everyone, Ivy Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir Silent Gods. For today's video, we're going to continue our series of how to beat the bosses for the Continental Challenges for Season 3 in the Awakening the Spring of Iskalland event. Today's video is sponsored by Dragonheir Silent Gods, my favorite sponsor because it's my favorite game that I've played in a long time. Be sure to join us for Season 3, Dive Deep, Battle Peak. There's a ton of new heroes, new bosses, and lots to explore. Be sure to download via Android, iOS, Mac, PC, Steam, or Epic Games if you haven't already, and use the currently working promo codes. Alright, so for this video, we're going to go in versus the boss that is poison and weak to lightning damage. So this is going to be kind of the one where I guess your Dauntless teams are going to shine. So we're going to do like I did for the previous videos. I have already put out videos where we take a look at the bosses, break down their skills, and talk about how to beat them. And then I run whatever team that I'm actually using. But this is not about my legendary heroes or legendary artifacts. This is about understanding the boss and how to combat them. And hopefully the discussion can help you guys figure out who to use if you're struggling. We do have a couple weeks left if you're on the original, I guess, day 1 of global launch servers. But this is something that you guys, as you get to this point in previous seasons, you're going to come across this and it's going to be very similar. So hopefully this can relate to those who are entering Season 3 a bit later. And yeah, let's get to it. So, the Chaos Shadow Poison boss. This boss is literally just, well, I guess we call it a Stegamuffin. He is the, there we go. This is going to feel familiar. Stegamuffin is a legendary poison hero that we have, and it's pretty much just his skills. So, this boss here deals damage, and there's a chance to inflict a random debuff when he deals damage every time. So it's a lot. Like, you can really pump out a ton of debuffs. So these debuffs, you got to keep in mind, they are going to affect whoever is taking the hits from this boss, mainly the tank and anyone that has taken this AoE hit. So you definitely want to focus some of your melee heroes so that way they're not all getting the hits, like your ones in the back, because then they're going to die. This ultimate skill also does not, when they put up the magic nexus, anyone who dies cannot be resurrected, but that's really not the big deal. It's really just the fact that it's an AoE smash and it's probably going to kill a lot of your squishy people. So this is one you can kind of do a strat like last season where you shove the ranged people in a corner and bring the melee people up to the front, and the boss just targets who you want it to target. The skills here for the first and second are the same. Deals poison damage to the enemy with the highest attack, marking them for 6 seconds. During this time, the hero will shoot an additional arrow at them when launching a basic attack. So when they're marked, they're going to take a lot of extra damage. So you have to strategically plan who you want to get this extra attack. Because like the person who's the highest attack might also be your squishiest person that cannot handle these hits. And because they're taking extra hits, they're also going to take extra debuffs. So you really don't want the person with the highest attack to be your best damage dealer, because your best damage dealer getting decreased crit rate, crit damage, attack, or attack speed is not ideal. I guess the only exception will be the examples we give. If you have like Evelios or Shelter as a DPS, you know what, if you're going with a full enlightenment build, it's not the end of the world if they, with like derivative damage focus, it's not the end of the world if they get decreased crit rate or crit damage debuffs thrown on them, because it's not really going to affect them. So in this case, having someone like Shelter as your tank can be really good, actually. Not tank, but the person who has the highest attack to focus those hits. Alright, so let's go ahead in here. We're going to grab this team. Alright, and as I go in here, I do want to make a note that this set Sounds like it's perfect for Dauntless heroes. The wearer's basic attack ignores 20% of the target's defense. And in some cases, it is. Like, it's going to be great against Vortex, where the Emperor set is not as strong. But honestly, the Emperor set is just better. At the end of the day, go with the Emperor set. It's so much better. As long as you're keeping up that decrease attack, the attack penalty debuff on your boss, then this is going to give you more damage. So I'm actually re-gearing my heroes to be in the Emperor set instead. Even Shelter, who you think should be in the set for the sake of derivative damage, he's actually in the Emperor set as well. And this I had realized I never saved my build, but I did more damage with Emperor than I did with the sets that sound like they're perfect for these Dauntless heroes. Alright, so my people are re-geared in the Emperor set. This is just a quick tip that it's best against most bosses for the, well, against any of these bosses for the continental challenges and the Chaos Shadows. And overall, so we have this boss, as we said, it does put up debuffs, so you can have a cleanser if you want to in your team, but it's not necessary. On first glance, you might be like, so many debuffs, we must have a cleanser. But you really don't need one. That's amazing to get by. Nathaniel only dispels one debuff, so it helps, but it's not all of them, but it's still good enough. You know, like, don't overly stress about cleansing all the debuffs. You'll probably hurt your team more by taking up a spot where someone else could be a little more valuable. But he's really helpful here. He's going to put up a shield. He's going to give them recovery over time. And yeah, he's going to heal as well. So I do also have him in a Mona Lisa set. I have him in Elminster's artifact here. The increased shields, plus it adds more enlightenment, more HP, all the things we need for both his kit and for the Mona Lisa set. So Nathaniel is definitely an MVP here. Also Kirza, just because we're going against the lightning boss, well, the boss this week against lightning, does not mean we need to have a lightning tank or lightning support. You could still have whoever you need to keep part of the synergy. So Necrosis is completely fine for your supports. If you want to bring in a Megan for a healer, if you want to bring in anyone for the tank, they're great. But honestly, Kirza is really strong because she's going to keep up attack penalty really well. She's going to do the recharging speed penalty debuff as well. And she's also going to gain ultimate energy and be able to go quite often and help keep up this defense penalty really well. So based on this formation here, they're going to run in, and then they're going to he's going to kind of be the tank, and then he's going to have the most attack. Because of this, Ravatrix Roots adds 15% attack, 30% attack because he's not a legendary hero, on top of the total attack amount, not just the base attack. So he's going to have the focus, and I had it set before where my Nimbus was actually the highest attack, and he was getting all the debuffs, so if he's getting decreased crit rate and crit damage, he's not going to do his job. So Nimbus and Theraval are my like normal DPSs, but really it's going to be about Shelter. Shelter, you can have a couple different ways. You can build him again with Ravatrix Roots, so that way you're making sure he's the one taking all those debuffs, because at the end of the day, crit rate and crit damage don't really hurt him. If he gets decreased attack, oh well, it's fine. If that happens, then the boss might hit someone else a time or two because he's no longer the highest attack. But at the end of the day, he hurts the least amount by accepting those debuffs. You also can use the Hourglass on Shelter and give him really crazy skill haste and make him keep up his ultimate like 100% of the time. I think, shout out to, I think Pip said it was 150 skill haste on Shelter will make him have 100% uptime for his ultimate, Blessings of Thunder, which is what it's all about, and he's going to be your main DPS. It's going to be Shelter and Theraval as our main DPS. Nimbus is going to be secondary. And then we have our support of Nathaniel and our Witch's Remains and tank and attack penalty placer of Kirza. So that's kind of our setup. And I am going to let it YOLO because we do keep it up pretty well. And there is recharging speed penalty going on and ultimate energy boosting. And it's a little bit complicated, honestly. It's not, I kind of did worse when I did my timings. Not going to lie, you just have to experiment. But usually you're going to want your Witch's Remains hero going first or second, along with whoever is placing attack penalty if you are wearing Emperor sets, because you want to make sure that your attack is actually higher than the boss, so you want to have attack penalty on them. So there again is some more tips for this. And again, I mentioned the positioning being really important. This boss will go up here, and the guys down here are not going to get hit. So they can be as squishy as you want them to be and go full attack, crit rate, crit damage, focus, no concern, because they're not going to take any damage anyway. And the only aura I have in this team happens to be Nathaniel's, so we are going to have an HP boost for survivability, which will help my tanks and everything. But overall, your Dauntless heroes are going to be really, really strong. Let's go ahead here really quick and mention who else is going to be good. So Lightning, Yagnats is a very good hero here, which does surprising amount of damage. He also gains attack speed up himself. And Vani is really good as well. She does great damage here, and she boosts your whole team with an increased attack speed, which is amazing. And she deals bonus damage with her passive. Like, she's actually surprisingly good as well. They don't sound like they're anything that special, but they're actually very good. And in the last season, season 2, I used just Yagnats and Vani versus the Tall War boss, and they were amazing. If you find you need more support and you want to dispel more debuffs, you could also bring in a level 1 Enna, literally, not even kidding. And she can be your support if you have enough DPS otherwise. And she can cleanse a debuff, dispel a debuff, just by hanging back out of the way and do her job. But alright, I'm going to let this play, and we're going to show my results. I hope this conversation was helpful, though, for you guys deciding how to go against this boss. Again, you really don't need to worry too much about the debuff cleansing being completely cleansed anyway, if you properly plan out who's taking your debuffs for the boss, which is going to be the person with the highest attack. It's a really complicated thing to kind of think about here, but basically a Dauntless team is going to do very well. To be honest, I don't think Thunderbolt is worth bothering with this boss, but if you have Perkunte, he's going to be very good, of course, and so will a Thunderbolt team with him. But otherwise, without Perkunte, it's just not that exciting. Alright, and on to our final minute here. You can really see how Shelter, even though he's getting all those debuffs, he's still doing great damage. Shelter's all about that enlightenment, so don't even sweat those debuffs. He's a great candidate for Ravatrix Roots, given this factor, to take those debuffs again. So keep that in mind if you have him, or even a Velios if you build a Velios with a full focus for enlightenment as well. So things are getting a little bit scary at the end here. It looks like Shelter might die, but I think Nathaniel's going to keep him alive just barely. But if he does, it's not the end of the world, honestly. It's really, I mean, we're at 50 million. It's pretty solid. 20 seconds left to go. And you can see the other person that Kirza's the tank taking the basic attacks too, it looks like. And she's getting some debuffs, but it's not too bad. It does affect her damage, but she's not there for damage, so it's fine. And in the back there, Nimbus and Theraval are just chilling with no concern for getting hit at all, which was really, really great for this. But yeah, 54 million, and this is with no final stage Psychic Core for Lightning and Necrotic. I will show you mine really quick afterwards so you see. And again, this is Continental Challenge. This is before we get into Otherworld Exploration. So we have none of those alliance bonuses and all that fancy stuff. So there's a lot of potential for a lot more damage in this team with a little bit better gear. If you saw what gear I had, you would notice that I also happen to have, well, really low crit damage on like everybody because I don't have ideal gloves for crit damage that have crit rate. I don't have the fancy new sets where we have the do more damage when they're under defense penalty. I don't have that in crit damage either. So maybe eventually this team can get dramatically better, but by the time that happens, we're going to be on to easy peasy Chaos Shadows and the Otherworld Exploration, where we can divide this team into 2 or 3 other teams, honestly. So when I first did this, I only did like 22 million, literally, guys. Huge improvement putting on the Emperor gear. And let me just go ahead and show you my... Actually, you know what? I think I might save this even though it's early in the week. It's only Monday when I'm recording this, and Friday is my reset, but I'm not going to play around and change it. I don't think I'm going to be farming anymore that could be too dramatically, I guess, game-changing for this team. Could I manual this maybe and get a little bit better damage? Yes. Could I play around with a couple timings? Possibly. But at the end of the day, I really think this is fine with me. I'm going to accept that it's not so bad at all things considered here. Boom. Accepting that. And yeah, let me go ahead really quickly and just show you that I had for the Psychic Core here. I did have this, but I don't have the end stuff here. So this definitely made a difference, but it's not insane. I don't have this, so... Or this, I should say. Extra crit damage, I would love that. That would be great. And yeah, I would love better gear as well, but unfortunately, I just don't have the strong gear that I wish I did. But hey, here is our equipment plan that I'm using for these heroes. Just a quick glimpse, everything all together. And yeah, hope this video was helpful and fun to watch. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I will see you in the next video. Be sure to download via Android, iOS, Mac, PC, Steam, or Epic Games if you haven't already. And thanks again to Dragonheir Silent Gods for sponsoring today's video.